Hi, Lou Hamilton from Audible Elegance of Cincinnati, Ohio. We are located a couple doors north of the original Montgomery Inn in Old Montgomery, across the street from Montgomery Cyclery. So if you have a bike and want to get tuned up and give us a visit, that'd be great. We do work on Facebook, Instagram, and X. I also write a monthly blog. I'm a little sorry I'm behind on that one this month. Some of you may know the reasons. I thought I would renew the conversation about the Monster Cable OMC 500, and we were a little bit remiss on the quality of what you could see what's happening. So we're going to do some close-ups for you so you can actually see what we're talking about. And so here we go. Bring on the camera. So what I'm using is a reference of just an ordinary penny, and that's what copper kind of should be looking like. Here's a section of what I've already extracted, and you can see it's not shiny at all and actually has some green elements to it. We can back up, and I'm going to do another sample. So I'm going to go now at a more contaminated area of the cable so you can get a better picture of it. And while I'm doing this, I want to stress the point that some people in my last posting were concerned about the fact that I was not recommending Monster Cable at all, and that's not true. What I'm talking about is where a cable is deteriorating to the point that it needs to be replaced. If you want to buy a new OMC 500, that's fine by me. I'm just talking about something that should not have been happening. So I'm grabbing a razor blade. What I'm going to do is I'm going to split this open in front of you. And so you can see, that it's, I'm not doing as some people have accused me of already, which was fear-mongering. I'm just reporting, what I see and what other viewers actually have now reported is happening to them. There seems to be a fair amount of inconsistency because there are some people who have reported that they've never experienced this at all. So the causation why some cables do this and others do not perhaps remains elusive. I'm still convinced that it has a lot to do with the use of chlorine in the plastic, which creates its own set of havoc. The worst case scenario for any manufacturer is an inconsistency in production, which I hope is not the case, but I can't speak as to that either. I can only, show you what we see. So here's yet another fresh section. A little hard to get it out of the jacket, but bear with me. Okay, and here again, let's do a close-up. And you can see that it is turning green and doing all sorts of wonderful things. And now this is definitely not what you want to see at all. This is changing the resistance of the wire. It forms little inductors and capacitors, all sorts of crap. And this is taking the wire out of spec. Now, the reason I'm redoing this video to a degree is that for a period from about 1982 and certainly ended by 2005, from what I can understand, Klipsch was internally wiring its speakers with Monster Cable. And I seem to recall, and maybe inappropriately, oh, here's a lovely section of green. You want to see that one? Was internally wiring, this is not only green, it's also sticky. That talks about the leaching of the plastic right there. Internally wiring their speakers, and I seem to recall it was with OMC 500. Now, I'm not telling you to tear your speakers apart. I'm not recommending that. But if you have cause to get into the speaker, take a look at what the condition of the cable is. If it is in fact deteriorating, my recommendation, interestingly enough, would be to go out and buy new OMC 500 and cut it to the exact length of the OMC 500 you withdraw from each driver. And this leads me on to another part of the subject, which is where people get into this kick about rewiring their speakers. And I'm going to refer back to my experiences with Jim Teal, which were numerous. And they were very, very specific about not only the quality of the wire that they were using, and I know the supplier, I won't mention it, but the length of it and its gauge. Because the wiring to internal wiring was actually part of the calculations used in the design of the crossover network. The resistance, phase, all sorts of things. And so if you start changing the length of the wire internally on the speaker, you change its gauge, or you decide to use, let's stop using copper and we're going to use silver. All of the calculations used, I got green all over my fingers. The calculations used in the design of the crossover have just been tossed out the window. When we repaired Teal speakers here, we were very careful to, if we had to replace drivers, we desoldered the leads from the defective driver and never cut it. So we didn't change the length, and then resoldered it to the new speaker. And that was in complete respect to the efforts and the work by Jim Teal. And I'm sure there are a lot of other speaker manufacturers out there who in their design are of equal quality in terms of the care of how they're designing the crossover network and the cabling that's part of it. So if you happen to find when you open the Klipsch speakers that the cable they use, if it is the OMC 500, and I'm being very specific about that, we're talking about the clear jacketed stuff. If it has done this, then my recommendation is simply go out and get some more OMC 500 and properly rewire it to the lengths that you find inside the speaker. Other cables, a lot of manufacturers have color-coded cables, black, white, red, yellow, all sorts of stuff. If it's not, a clear jacketed cable, most likely the internal wiring is just fine. And I wouldn't worry about it. I'm not trying to set up hobgoblins. So for those people who are saying, well, I'm trying to do some fear mongering, well, I'm sorry. I'm talking about fact. That is not fear mongering. Fear mongering is creating false illusions. There's no illusion that this cable has rotted, and that's it.